Welcome to Community Corner on 94.5 Praise, a program where we discuss the topics affecting the Low Country, but also programs and organizations making positive changes in our community. Today, we are blessed to have two of the people who are our leaders out in the Sheldon Big Estate and actually the Sheldon Township and District 1 to be with us and to give us an update in the person of the school board representative, Mr. Earl Campbell, who has been on the school board since 1990 of August, I believe, and Mr. Gerald Dawson, who has been on the county council since 2004. Welcome, gentlemen, to Community Corner.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be with you.
Yes, sir.
We are pleased to have you here, and I think we will probably start with the school board. Mr. Campbell, give us an update on the happenings in the schools. I know that I just got the message that we are getting a new principal in the Whale Branch Middle School. Would you tell us about it?
Yes. The new principal is Mr. Freddie Lawton, who was the assistant principal, and Mr. Cox went to Battery Creek, so Mr. Lawton will be the principal at Whale Branch Middle School. We also will have a new person at Davis. Early childhood is Miss Mildred Glover, who is coming from Pritchardville. So those are the two positions that will be added to those schools.
Two fine people, I think, that will step in leadership positions in our cluster, and I think will probably do great things. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I really believe that.
We think Mr. Lawton, having been there with Mr.
Cox,
he I think he should move in pretty good. We are just so happy for Mr. Cox. He was one dedicated person who cared greatly about the school system.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So him being over at Battery Creek, he is still in your neck of the woods, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I told him we'd be looking in on him, and we let him come across the bridge every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah, because that's part of my district too.
Yes,
Battery
sir.
Creek is so bad. The other thing that we're going to be working on in the coming months is doing the superintendent evaluation, preparing to do that, get that straightened out, and also we hope that we can get a time for board training, so we can have a board training to make our job much more easier at board meetings, so we can get along with each other. So those are some of the things that we'll be going through in the next several months.
I pray you much success in the area in the latter, and that is getting the school board to where it will work together and things will go in a more fluid way.
Yeah.
Because there is definitely a great need for people, even when they disagree, to do it in a civilized and an intelligent way, and not just object to something because it comes from a particular person.
Right.
Would you agree to that?
Yes, I would, because our job is not there to be popular with anybody. We are there to make sure that the students in this county is getting the best education that we can afford and that we can give them, and also support our teachers. And that is another thing that we're going to be looking at: teacher retention, and also trying to help them to find affordable housing, because the cost of living in Beaufort County is very high. We had 50 some teachers that signed contract, and they called and said, "Well, I can't come because the cost of living is too high," And right now we got about 80 positions open right now, so we hope we can have all those filled by the time school starts.
I think so often people don't realize really the cost of living in Beaufort County is not low.
No, it's not.
It is not low at all. And, given the fact, I have always believed, and I believe this even more the more knowledge I gain of the system. I have always believed that teachers should be some of the most highest paid people in our society.
That's true.
Because they help to shape our children into the responsible adults that we all hope and pray that they will be. Yet, on a salary scale, and I know we pay pretty good in Beaufort, but on a salary scale of what the average income is, and you put a teacher in that slot, a teacher is not far up the scale when it comes to pay. And I just think we ought to do something about that. And so to hear you all say that you are working on teacher retention and cost of housing, affordable housing for teachers, I think is really, really a huge step.
Thank you. Yes, it is.
So, Mr. Dawson, will you please tell us and update us on matters of the county of Beaufort, sir?
Currently, Pastor Moore, the Beaufort County Council is working through the process of trying to start the search for a new county administrator. Our current county administrator, Gerald Kubik, is going to retire at the end of this year, and so the council has voted to go ahead and initiate a national search to seek candidates who would apply to replace Mr. Kubik at the end of this year, and so hopefully that search will start. The consultant has already started interviewing, and hopefully we will have a list of candidates by mid-August, and by the end of October, hopefully we will have selected a replacement for the county administrator.
Good. We will miss Mr. Kubik. There is no one who will 100% satisfy every concern that a person has. But my experience in dealing with him is he really has worked hard to provide fairness, if you will, in the administrator's position. And so we do regret seeing him go. But we know that in time we all must move from whatever our positions are. Mr. Campbell talked about affordable housing for teachers and everything. Is it possible, and I know we did not discuss this, so I'm totally asking you this question in the blind, but is it possible that the county and the school district could really work together and do something about housing for teachers? I mean, is that a possibility or thought?
I think that process has already started. Yeah. There's an affordable housing consortium that the county has, but they work jointly with the school district to address the issue of the shortage of housing for our workforce, teachers, nurses, policemen, and so what the end results is going to be, I don't think anybody knows at this time, but we do know that it is a problem and they're trying to address it. So we're just waiting for the Affordable Housing Consortium to report back to council their findings and recommendations of moving forward to address that issue.
Yeah, well, what Mr. Dawson says is true. We have been talking to the county and talking to other folks also. I was speaking to Pastor Cummings the other day, and he wanted to set up a meeting with the superintendent because he has some ideas, maybe working to find some solution to the housing problem for teachers and employees in the county.
That would definitely be a welcome solution and conversation, I would think. You talked about the administrator, Mr. Dawson. In lieu of the gas tax being passed and voted on, how do you think that is going to affect the situation with the roads in Beaufort County?
Well, I think it's a positive move in the right direction to funnel monies to the state through that gas tax to actually get some work done on our infrastructure, 95 and some of the other state roads. So it's been a long time coming, and I was just glad to see that our legislators passed the gas tax. South Carolina, I think, has the lowest gas tax in the nation, and so basically this will just start the process of channeling funds to SCDOT to actually get some work done on our infrastructure.
It is one of the things that I have I've been perplexed about, and that is why in the world did they fight all those years against it? And I think both of you travel extensively.
Yes.
You travel.
Yes, sir.
If you leave South Carolina, whether you're going north, whether you're going south or west,
that's right.
if you leave South Carolina and you drive into either North Carolina or you go into Georgia or Florida, any of those states, and it is like night and day, the difference in the conditions of the road.
It is.
Why legislators could not see that, I just don't know. But I think it is a good step that we would take a positive step in the funding of improving our road system.
Yeah, it is.
Well, certainly, it's been a political issue where the politicians or the legislators in Columbia just couldn't agree to have the gas tax increase, and from what I understand, some of the legislators in the upper state didn't really see the need for channeling monies to have roads improvement in the lower part of the state, and so it was just something that they had to come to terms with, and finally made the decision to go ahead and pass the gas tax.
Well, now you say some of the legislators in the upper state. A bunch of legislators in the low country
that is true.
For years has not done it. And I know you are in politics.
You're correct.
I am not constrained by the politics,
right.
If you will. But I've heard many of them make arguments against it, and it is pure. To me, it is all about popularity and holding a certain line. And so whether they are in the upstate or whether they are down in the low country, it just didn't make any sense to me.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and yeah, that is a fact. Some of our local politicians doesn't necessarily support the gas tax that has been passed, so that's unfortunate. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It is, and it's unfortunate because when we split on things that are good for the vast majority of the society, when we split on those issues, there is something wrong, and it means that we are really not thinking about what is good for the people.
Yeah, that is true.
And so I hope we can forever overcome issues like that and divides like that. And Mr. Campbell mentioned about the board training that they're going to try to get started. What do you think and hope will come from the board training?
I hope that we can work as adults, and you know, you don't have to like someone, you know, but have that respect and remember that we are there for children. We're not there for ourselves, you know, and if we can do that, then we won't have all this other issue that comes up, you know, at board meetings. And I understand that you're elected, you want to satisfy the folks that vote for you, but you also have to think about children. And the time you waste arguing amongst ourselves, we're not doing the job that the voters sent us to do, you know. I don't know who's going to do the training. I would hope that we would probably get the South Carolina School Board Association or someone else. But I hope that once we get the training, that we can come back and sit down and work together to solve the problems that we have in this district. Because the achievement gap, we are improving. We are improving. We are improving in discipline also. We are improving in graduation rate also. But it's going to take a while to get there. And people say, well, I hear people folks say, well, we want to just wipe out the achievement gap. You will never get rid of the achievement gap. It's impossible because we don't fund early childhood education the way it should be funded. And that is the answer right there.
I 150% agree with you. And one of the great, I think, lights in education was for me when the school district and Head Start and all of those entities came together to form the Davis Early Childhood Learning Center.
Right.
I think that was the biggest step that I had ever seen since I've been in public education.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like
That's
that.
true.
And I think it will pay off. But you're right. As a nation, we still don't have that thought.
We don't. And the other part of it is that every child that graduates from high school, every student that graduates, don't have to go to college. You know, they can come out of the school with a trade. They can go into business for themselves. You know, and we have those things in place right now. You know, at Battery Creek and also at the Mill River High School in Bluffton. And so even the Early College High School. You know, so I think things are going to pick up, and I think that things are going to improve a whole lot. But a lot of folks say, well, you know, we are behind other people. We have been behind. South Carolina have been behind for the last 100 years, you know. But if we really believe in education, if we believe in our children, then we can do those things. And I was watching the news yesterday and watching the governor talks about taxes and when it comes to the low country. Well, you know, they bring jobs here, but the most of the jobs that comes here is service jobs. You know, we need jobs here that where somebody can get out of high school or get out of college and get a decent salary. You know, but it seems that you have folks, and Mr. Dawson know this, and this has been going on for years. There are business that want to come here, but folks don't want them to come.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Campbell. Speaking of the need for better paying jobs to increase the economic base of the county government as well as the local citizens is an issue. And council, I've been on council 13 years, and we've been trying to address the job situation since I came on, and I will tell you that, in my opinion, we're not, in 13 years, we're not much further along in that process than it was when I first came on council. Currently, we have, County Council, we have formed Economic Development Corporation, better known as the EDC. And the EDC is comprised of a member or representative from the 4 municipalities, the town of Hilton Head, the town of Bluffton, the town of Port Royal, and the city of Beaufort, and there's a representative that represents Beaufort County. So that's a 5-member board that makes up the EDC. They are the representatives that actually negotiate on behalf of council to bring jobs to the county. Currently, council has just passed a resolution authorizing the EDC to be the negotiating agent for county council in all those matters pertaining to recruiting jobs and joining an alliance. Right now, the council is torn between whether we join Southern Alliance, whether we join Charleston Alliance, or whether we join an alliance at all. And the EDC, at the guidance of the consultant that took them through this process of getting ready to represent Beaufort County and in that process. The EDC is in the process of negotiating with Southern Carolina Alliance to see if by chance they can work out an agreement to where Southern Carolina Alliance can supply some of the services that we, the county, would need to foster drawing monies from the state as far as state commerce is concerned, supporting the recruiting of jobs to Beaufort County. So it's in its infant stage, and so we'll continue to work through that process, but we have a long ways to go. The EDC, they have to set up the board of directors, and they have to hire economic director for the county itself. So those three things, joining an alliance, setting up the board of directors, and hiring an economic development director for the county, those three initiatives are all in progress right now as I speak. And so it's just a matter of bringing all that together and then moving forward to start recruiting jobs into Beaufort County. So it's a long process.
It is. It is a long process. I had a conversation with the mayor of Beaufort, I believe, about a year and a half ago, and him being, having been here for years and having been in the House of Representatives, his mother and everything. He's one of the few people that I have gotten to admit that there has been for years and years a concerted effort to keep out of Beaufort County any kind of meaningful employment that does not and is not in the service sector.
That's true.
I've been saying it ever since I've been here, and it doesn't take you long to be here and look at it and to know that all of the, with the exception of the medical field and education, for the most part, if you are not in the service-oriented field, you have to go somewhere else to find employment almost.
That is correct.
That's true.
And that is why the salaries here are so high, because there's no real competition. And the good old boys has ensured that it would stay that way, if you will. And so to see that there is an effort, but I will say to you that there still are many people who are in leadership in Beaufort County, and I think you probably already know what I'm about to say, but you don't have to say it. I'll say it. But there are still many people in Beaufort County who they are not actively supported and involved in bringing corporations in that will pay well, because it is a matter of, again, this divide. It's not about what is best for the common person, citizen. It is about what is best for the rich.
Right.
And the rich in Beaufort County is the large landowners, the big farmers, and the hotel owners, and all of those are the interests, and that's who benefit by this economy being a service-oriented economy. And so I just felt compelled to put that in. But we thank you for the job that you are doing in trying to help to push it forward.
Well, thank you. Well, we all know that Beaufort County is basically a tourist county. Tourism and property taxes is basically how the local government runs Beaufort County. And so the underlying factor is that when you start talking about bringing meaningful jobs to Beaufort County, then you're going to draw, the fear is that you're going to draw that workforce that goes to Hilton Head and south of the Broad to work those service-oriented jobs. You're going to draw some of that workforce away from them, and then that creates a problem as far as continuing tourism.
Councilman, I contend to you that is just like the sheet that the KKK used to hide behind. and that is that statement that they make about fearing pulling the employment away. It's not the employment that they fear. They fear having to pay people a decent salary for a day's work. That's what they fear. And they won't say that.
No,
they will not say it. So they say, well, there's only, a number of qualified people, to go into the employment sector and all of this. They dress it up with all of that language. But it is all about they want to pay you as little as they can possibly pay you, and they do not want any competition.
No, they don't.
Yeah, you're right. All of that plays into this dynamic of trying to recruit and bring better jobs to Beaufort County. So, as I said in the beginning, it's a task, and it's a long process. It's not going to happen overnight.
That is exactly why we look at the situation, and it is one that I get very passionate about, because I truly believe that if a person is employed, and if a person works 48 hours a week, 50 hours a week, I believe that person should be able to have a decent housing, as a result. But when you look at what the hourly wage is, and that's why it just boggles my mind to hear these people arguing about whether $7.25 is sufficient for paying somebody to live on. It is insane by most standards. But we've got people, our legislators, that really are behind the notion that they represent these special interests who want to keep wages low and all of this other stuff. And I just think it's inhuman for us to put the profits of the Marriott over whether or not people can afford a decent house.
That's true.
Or our teachers and or people who really do make a huge contribution to our society. We neglect them for the benefit of the corporate farmers and all of those. And so again, we congratulate you on your effort to move this process forward, because I believe we can do it all. I believe you can bring corporations in and people can be paid, $14, $15 an hour. And I believe that the Ritz-Carlton on Hilton Head, they can afford to pay people $15, $20 an hour. They do it up in D.C.
Well, Pastor Moore, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I would say that the last hurricane we had, Hurricane Matthew, gave us, the representative of council, a glimpse of what could be our predicament in the event that we got a direct hit of a hurricane or a tornado and wipe out all the tourism destinations. Then we would rely solely on property tax. Well, not only is the tourism sites damaged and torn apart, but the properties as well. So unless you've got corporations and manufacturers to offset the tax base, you really don't have anything to fall back on. And so Hurricane Matthew gave us a glimpse of what could potentially happen to Beaufort County if in the future we get a direct hit. So hopefully that will put us all in motion to work toward this process of actually honestly bringing better jobs to Beaufort County.
Ms. Campbell.
And Mr. Dawson is right. And the thing about it is we need to change the county zoning ordinance. That needs to change. Definitely need to change. I look at what they do in Japan and other countries. I've been to the Netherlands, and we act like we have to have a sewer running everywhere. You don't. There are treatment plants that you can put anywhere on a piece of property to support a building or industry, anything you want to do. But we don't want to do that,
And they know it. The people who make their arguments against development, they know that there are intelligent and affordable means by which those things can be done without a proliferation, really, if you will, of stacking houses on top of each other. Right. All of those things that they scare everybody with, they know it. It's cynical. It really is cynical when people push fear over fact.
That's right.
And we are seeing that being done now, I think, as much as we've ever seen.
That's right.
But you're right. You made a statement earlier, and when you talked about the graduation rate is improving and we are closing the gap and all those things, of which, again, I think you all are to be applauded for getting the leadership and insisting that it does change. And so, again, we ought to be appreciative of the people who actually make things happen. And I think you all are doing a great job. But I totally agree with you that we need to unfocus on every child going and getting a 4-year university degree. Every child is not equipped to go and get a 4-year university degree. But there is something that is in the system that can help every young person who's graduating from high school or going to high school to prepare them for their future. And you mentioned Battery Creek in culinary arts, and now they're going to aviation.
Well, in fact, they've been in aviation for some years now. Culinary arts is a new program. Plus they got welding and all that, and May River is the same. And also ACE, if you look at, I would say, the majority of the young black females that do here, the majority of the black barbers, they went to ACE, and they got open up a business.
And can earn a decent living at those trades, if you will. The other good thing that I think we don't push enough in our area is the fact that there is a scholarship. There is a scholarship for every graduate of high school in Beaufort County having a 2.5 GPA can go to the Technical College of the Low Country 2 years absolutely free, no charge whatsoever.
That's true.
And I just, as I talk to people, a lot of people go, I didn't know that. But I think it is a wonderful road that we ought to be actually helping our young people to travel down rather than trying to put everybody in a 4-year university. What do you think?
I think that's the best thing you can do, because a lot of these students, they don't want to go off to college. Some of them want to go, but some of them want to stay at home. And you can go to Tech for 2 years. Won't cost you one dime, you know. You stay at home, and you can even have a job. Why is you doing that?
And come out with an associate's degree
That's right.
in a profession
That's right.
where you can make as much money in many cases
That's true.
or more than a person with a 4-year degree.
That's true. That is definitely true.
And I think somehow we have to maximize on informing our young people and preparing our young people of all the options that they have.
That's true.
Because options in life, it really is power.
Yeah, it is. It definitely,
I think.
Definitely is.
What do you think, sir?
Yeah, providing the option to get a higher level of education, I think the school district has done a good job in partnering with TCL to foster that program to where high school graduate can, with the 2.5 GPA that you talked about, can get the 2 years of education free. I think, as you said, Pastor Moore, we need to push that out into our communities to make the community aware that it does exist, and that we need to somehow encourage our parents to have our students, our children, take advantage of that educational process.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's a win-win situation.
Yes, it is.
We have to. The facilities here in Beaufort County rival any that I've seen anywhere. When I was on active duty as the sergeant major of the Eastern Recruiting Region, about every other week at least, I was gone to some place in the Eastern United States. And we always visited the JROTCs and everything all across the Eastern United States. And the condition of the facilities that I visited during those years, let me tell you, what is in Beaufort County does not exist in general all over the United States of America.
Yeah.
We have the highest quality of facilities and schools that I've seen almost anywhere.
Yeah.
All of the technology and all those things, we are light years ahead of most school districts in the nation.
That's true.
So to that end, you all have done just an awesome job, if you will.
Yeah.
But I think you are so right, Councilman Dawson. We have got to be able to get across to parents that you don't have to be wealthy and you don't have to be able to afford, to send your child to USC Columbia, for $15,000, $20,000 a year. Why do that? Even if the child want a 4-year degree, let them start at TCL, take the basic courses for 2 years, save $40,000, and then transfer and go to either Clemson or to USC or here. And every course that they take, those basic courses, are transferable to any 4-year university in South Carolina. So you've saved $40,000, $50,000. You have saved just by little Johnny or Susie staying here using that 2.5 for 2 years and then go off. Nobody is going to ask them, where did you spend your first 2 years? When you get a degree, it simply says graduated USC with whatever the degree is.
That's right.
And so I just think if we we've got to put our heads together to try to inform parents of all the opportunities that exist for young people here in this county.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think we have exceeded the time. This is almost a 2-session setting, if you will. But I have thoroughly enjoyed and do appreciate both of you coming in and sitting down and updating us on what is happening in the county and with the school district and the school board. It really has been enlightening, and we thank you both for the outstanding job that both of you are doing in your prospective positions. It is just good to have leaders that really do care about the constituents rather than who's going to vote for me and who's going to like what I do. You just try to do what is right, and we do genuinely appreciate that. So we're going to give you all the last word. Mr. Councilman, I'm sorry, Mr. Campbell being the senior statesman. Go ahead, sir.
I would just thank you for the opportunity to be able to give the information to the community. Also, I would like to remind folks in District 1, Tuesday at 6 o'clock at Whale Branch Early College High School, the district will come out and talk about the new gym and also the new auditorium. So if you don't have anything to do, come out and take a look and have any questions, we can answer your questions also. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dawson.
Pastor Moore, thank you for inviting us to come and share with you the perspective of the school district and the county council. While we can't cover everything, we appreciate the topics that we were able to share with you. I will say to the county as a whole that our solid waste and recycling department, under the direction of Mr. Jim Minor, is proposing to take the county off of convenience centers and go to a curbside pickup, where we will go back to we will go through the process of every resident having a curbside pickup at your residence, where the trucks will come by and pick up your garbage and dump it, and all the convenience centers for the most part will be closed. They haven't worked out all the details as of yet. They have started over in the Bluffton area talking about working on the subdivisions, the most populated areas first, because they realize it's going to be problematic out in the rural parts of the county because it's so wide space. You might pick up one trash bin here and drive another quarter mile before you get to the next house. And so they realize they got some challenges to work through, but it's in the process. It's being discussed. They will hold workshops to get public input, and so you'll hear some of that information coming forward at a later date. Having said that, I just want you and the public to know that we serve at the pleasure of our constituents. It is our duty and our jobs to represent the citizens of Beaufort County and the constituents in our district to the best of our ability. And I would dare to say that Mr. Campbell and I, as we deliberate around the council table or the school board table or in the committee meetings, our constituents is always first at heart. We're always advocating on behalf of our constituents. So I thank my constituents for their support. I thank you, Pastor Moore, for the opportunity to give us this airtime. Thank you.
Well, we thank you all again, and I said I was going to let you close it out, but I'm a Baptist preacher, and I always think of something else. But Mr. Campbell was talking about Tuesday evening on the 27th at 6 o'clock at the Whale Branch Early College High School, and the meeting whereby they are going to come and give an update on exactly what the proposal is and the layout is as far as the gymnasium and the Performing Arts Center. I encourage everybody that's in the Sheldon Township community and the Grays Hill area, please come out Go to that meeting. You all fought hard. The support was absolutely phenomenal. That the public actually got involved and participated in the process, put pressure on those board members that wanted to back up from it. And Ms. Campbell, again, we thank you for your leadership in that process.
Yes, sir.
Because you helped to guide and sail the boat through the channel, if you will. So I ask, as a continuation of that support and that involvement, that every member of our community meet at the Whale Branch Early College High School on Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock. I'm going to be in D.C., but don't let that stop you, because I'm not the guy who actually made it happen. You all made it happen. Mr. Campbell made it happen, and we are so thankful for everybody for what they are doing and what is about to happen at the Whale Branch Early College High School. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us for Community Corner on 94.5 Praise. And don't forget to join us every Thursday at 7 o'clock for the latest in community programs and highlights. If you want more information on today's topics or guests, you can find it on our website at praise945.com. May the peace and blessings of the Lord be yours.